with a new chapter, Morphology of Flowering Plants. We are going to start with a new chapter, beta. The name of the chapter is Morphology of Flowering Plants. And believe me, you will enjoy doing this chapter. It's a very interesting chapter. You will get to know many new terms, something very interesting, like you have formulas in maths. You will learn how to write formulas as well. So, for plants, we are starting with the chapter Morphology of Flowering Plants. The initial part of the chapter is something a little basic which we have done earlier. So, I am taking a fast revision of what we have done. Morphology of flowering plants. See beta, the angiosperms, they show a large diversity in the external structure. When I say morphology, I mean the external structure. When we talk about the morphology of angiosperms, when we talk about the external structure of angiosperms, there is a lot of variation. There is a lot of diversity in them. Is it okay? But there is one thing which is common to angiosperms, or you can say there is one thing which is a characteristic of angiosperms. What is that main thing that which is a characteristic of angiosperms? That they all have roots, stems, leaves, flowers and fruits. Roots, stems, leaves, flowers and fruits. So, introduction of the chapter, very simple. Morphology. Morphology means external structure. There is a lot of variation when it comes to the morphology of angiosperms or the external structure of angiosperms. But one thing which is characteristic, one thing which is same, which is common for all angiosperms is that they are all characterized by roots, stem, leaves, flowers and fruits. I will be taking up all of them separately. Today in this small video, I will be taking up about roots. Now beta, we are going to study some technical terms in the adaptations of plants to environment. This is what we are going to study now. Let's talk about the roots. Most of the dicots, what happens in dicots beta? The radicle, it directly becomes longer and forms the primary root. The radicle and the plumule, you've done this earlier. So what happens in, we are talking about ones, remember this, we are talking about whom? Don't get confused in this, we are talking about dicots. What happens in dicots? The radicle directly elongates, it becomes long and it forms the primary root. This primary root, it goes into the soil. Then it bears lateral roots, that could be secondary root or tertiary roots. And this primary root and these branches that it forms together is what we call as the taproot system. What is it called? Taproot system. Let me explain it to you. See, this is it. Let's talk about this. This is your primary root. Where is it grown from? It's a thick root, primary root. It has grown from the radicle. It is the radicle only which has become elongated, which has become long. And it is thicker. If you see, this is the main root. We call it as what? It is called as the primary root, or the other name for this root is also taproot. What is the name for this root? Taproot. So what is taproot? The radicle, when it becomes elongated, it's become thick, okay, and it becomes long. Then we call it as what? We call it as the taproot. Now what happens in this? This step from taproot, you have some branches coming out. We already had the center root as what? This is the primary root. Now these branches which are coming out, they are the secondary roots. So first, the radicle elongates and becomes the primary root. From sideways, from the lateral, we call it as sideways, or lateral branches come out which are known as secondary roots. On secondary roots, again we have these small elongations coming out. Further, the third stage. These are what we call as the tertiary roots. Is it okay for everybody? See, the radicle is becoming elongated to form a thick root like this. This is your primary root. We also call it as the taproot. From this we have these branches coming out. These are the secondary roots. From these secondary roots again we have sub-branches coming out. These are what we call as the tertiary roots. So, this main root is your primary root or taproot. Such a system is known as taproot system. What is it called? Taproot system. Moving on to monocots now. See beta, what happened in dicots? The primary root is very important, the taproot is very important, it is very thick, and it is from the primary root that secondary and tertiary roots come up. Moving on to monocots now. What happens in monocots? This primary root is very short-lived, and then what happens? It is replaced by a number of other roots which originate from the base of the stem, and they form what we call as the fibrous root system. What are they forming? They are forming the fibrous root system. See, in the fibrous root system, what is happening is the taproot short-lived. This will disappear. Rather, what will happen? This is your stem. From this stem, you will have many roots coming out like this. See, so many of them. This kind of a structure is what we call as a fibrous root system. What is it called? Fibrous root system. So, the main difference you saw in dicots, we had the taproot system. In monocots, we had the fibrous root system. If you want to really see, look for the roots of mustard plant. It's a dicot, mustard. You will find a taproot system. And if you look for the roots of a wheat plant, you will see the fibrous plant system, root system. That is your monocot system. So taproots are found in dicots. Fibrous roots are found in monocots. In taproot system, the main root is the primary root or the taproot. It is very thick, and from it we have secondary and tertiary roots. But in the fibrous root system, the main root or the primary root is very short-lived. It is replaced by a large number of roots which originate from the base of the stem. Such a system is what we call as fibrous root system. Fine. But in some trees like banyan trees, you must have seen here both of them, it is the radical only which is elongating beta. So, but in some cases like banyan tree, we have seen and we've also discussed this earlier that there are some plants, for example rather trees, for example banyan trees, where roots arise from parts of a plant other than the radical. It is not the radical which is going to produce roots, some other part of the plant is producing roots. Such kind of roots are known as adventitious roots. What are they called? Adventitious roots. Is it okay for everybody? We had the taproot system and we had the fibrous root system. Then we had adventitious root system. These are adventitious roots. Adventitious roots, okay? These are the roots which originate from any other part of the plant except for the radical. Normally radical gives rise to the roots. Normally if we talk about the functions of roots, it is absorption of water and minerals. Second, providing anchorage. Third, storing the food reserve, food material. And fourth is synthesis of plant growth regulators. These are some additional functions. If you look here, I have tried to explain something to you. See this part, okay? This, I am talking about the root. This root is covered at the apex by a root cap. Can you see this apex part over here? This one, the lower part. Okay? This is what we call as the root cap. The apex part of the root is what we call as root cap. This root cap protects the soft root when it enters the soil. Now we know this root has to enter the soil. It has to enter the soil to absorb water and minerals. But the root is comparatively very soft. So for its protection, we have this cap-like structure over here which protects it when it enters the soil to absorb the water and minerals. This is what we call as root cap. What is it called? Root cap. Now, a few millimeters above the root cap, if you can see this area over here, this part, just above this root cap, I am talking about this portion beta. This is known as region of elongation. Okay, the region of meristematic activity. Let me show you first this one. Can you see these dots over here? This. So number one is root cap. Number two, this is region of meristematic activity. Obviously, the name tells you region of meristematic activity means the cells of this region. They're very special. How are they special? They are very small. They have very thin walls, and they have lot of cytoplasm, and they divide continuously. There are the four characteristic features of this area cells. The cells of this region are very small. They have thin walls, they have dense cytoplasm, and they divide repeatedly. Now, because they are dividing repeatedly, there is a lot of activity of meristematic cells going on over here. This region is known as the region of meristematic activity. Moving on to number 3 over here. This is region of elongation. What is this area known as? Region of elongation. Just close to this region, okay, the cells which are, those cells which are very close to the region of meristematic activity. See, this was the region of meristematic activity. The cells which are very close to the region of meristematic activity, what happens to them, beta? They start elongation or enlargement. They start elongating, they start becoming longer, larger. And it is because of this that the root increases in length. It is because of these cells, because they are enlarging, they are elongating, that the root length also increases. So this area is called as region of elongation. because in this area we have cells which elongate. Now just next to the region of elongation we have the fourth zone, which is known as region of maturation. Okay, what is it called? Region of maturation. This is just the next zone. Some cells of this region, they form very fine, thin, delicate thread-like structures. Some cells of this area, maturation area, they become a little differentiated and they convert into thread-like structures, very fine thread-like structures, which are known as root hairs. If you can see, I have made these. What are these? Root hairs. So what was the lowest one? Number 1, we had the root cap. Just above the root cap, number 2, region of meristematic activity, where we had meristematic cells which divide very soon. Then third was the region of elongation, where we had cells which become elongated and increase the length of the root. And followed by region of elongation is the region of maturation, where some cells, when they become mature, they convert into fine thread-like structures which are known as root hairs. It is these root hairs which will absorb water and minerals from the soil. Is it okay? Number 1, root cap. It helps to protect the tip of the root where it enters the soil, protection purpose. Region of meristematic activity, number 2, where meristematic cells are present, thick cytoplasm, they divide very soon. Then region of elongation, where cells become elongated, enlarged so that the root length increases. And region of maturation, where some cells after becoming mature convert into thread-like structures which are known as root hairs. Now, moving on to the modifications of the roots. Some roots, they change their shape and structure and become modified to perform other functions than absorption. The normal function of roots is absorption, but there are some roots which become modified and perform some other function apart from absorption. This function could be support, it could be storage, it could be respiration. Is it okay? You have done about roots of carrot, turnip which store food. You know this? Similarly, you must have seen hanging structures that support a banyan tree. Commonly you call them as prop roots also. What are they called? Prop roots. So what is this? This is an extra adaptation. Now, I'll move on to 2 more words which are new for you. Stilt roots and the second is pneumatophores. What are stilt roots? S-T-I-L-T. Stilt. The word is stilt roots. Stems of maize and sugarcane. We are talking about maize and sugarcane. The stems of these plants have supporting roots that come out from the lower nodes of the stem. See, this is the stem. There are nodes. I am talking about the lower nodes, not the higher ones. From the lower nodes, some these roots start coming out. Okay? We are talking about which plants? We are talking about maize and we are talking about sugarcane. What happens in them? The stems of these plants, they have some roots which come out from the lower nodes of the stems. Actually, these roots are supporting roots. What are these roots? They support the plant. Such kind of roots are known as stilt roots. So, what do you need to remember about stilt roots? Plants like sugarcane, what happens is from the lower nodes, you will find these roots coming out, root structures coming out. They help in what? They help in supporting the plant. Such kind of roots are known as stilt roots. You will find them in maize and sugarcane. The last term in roots is pneumatophore. P-N-E-U, P-N-E-U-M-A-T-O, pneumato, P-H-O-R-E-S, force. Pneumatophores, P-N-E-U, new, M-A-T-O, mato, P-H-O-R-E-S, pneumatophores. See beta, plants which grow in swampy areas like Rhizophora. We are talking about those plants which grow in swampy areas like Rhizophora. What happens in this? The plant is not able to breathe because of the marshy area. So the roots, they come out of the ground and they start growing vertically upwards. The roots, they come out and they start growing vertically upwards so that they can help to get oxygen for respiration. Such kind of roots are known as pneumatophores. What are they called? Pneumatophores. So we are done with roots. We did taproot system, we did fibrous root system, we knew about adventitious roots, we did 4 regions: root cap, region of meristematic activity, region of elongation and region of maturation. Then we did some modifications where we studied about stilt roots and pneumatophores. This is all about roots. In the next video, I'll take up stems. Thank you.